is Dandelion Song here. I found something, and I read this book before, and I guess you just have to read things a few times. I'm starting to think maybe I should watch my own videos and take notes so it will sink in better, because I know I read this before and it didn't stick with me. This book is by Scott Onscott, and I was looking at it again last night, and I found something that I think is the answer to the 1, 2, 3. Whoops, I need my reading glasses. The 1, 2, 3. Meridian of the Oregon shooting, and also the 1, 2, 3s and 3, 2, 1s that I found around the 266 Simpson episode and the Pope visit in the gematria of the cathedrals that he visited. That was around the mouth of Isis. If you haven't seen my video of Isis in Philadelphia, or my Philadelphia videos, I think they're still very important. I feel like the Dark Illuminati is building on these symbols, and so even though they're past, we can use them for clarity in back engineering the algorithm that they might be working with. Well, I think you're going to like this. Let me just read this to you. This is chapter 1, and we're just right in the beginning. This is page 2. So here it says, it kind of talks about how the number system got started, and it talks about which of your fingers is your 0th digit. Kids don't start counting fingers with 0, and if you do start counting with 0, you shouldn't end up with 10, because 10 presupposes the complex concept of place in the void, 0, to hold the one's place open. If you were designing a numeral system based on your hands, then you wouldn't stop on your last little finger and have to go into the abstract philosophical explanations with an appeal to nothingness to name it. You might symbolize it with an X like the Romans did and be done with it. The concept of 0 didn't occur to the Romans. We have 9th century India to thank for the 0. However, since Fibonacci, we in the West are quite familiar with the magic of 0, and therefore we count our fingers. We call our last little finger 1, 0 without thinking much of it. However, if the decimal system isn't based on our hands, then what is its basis? To answer this fundamental question, I'm going to have to buy another book because he mentions this book. I think I'm going to have to buy this book. To answer this fundamental question, I turn to the research of Dr. Peter Plitscha, who holds a PhD in physics and another in chemistry. In his book, God's Secret Formula, Deciphering the Riddle of the Universe in the Prime Number Code, Element 1997, he realized the significance of there being exactly 81 stable atoms in the universe. Now, just a thing, when I decoded and I made the series of the Pope visit, there were so many 9s in there, and I didn't understand it. At first, I thought they were associating themselves with Set, which is the dark lord of the Egyptian times that killed his brother Osiris. And then I thought, okay, maybe they, then also I noticed that number is associated with the top of the hierarchy. So I thought, well, maybe it's just a top of the hierarchy number, or a double ego number, or something like that. Well, this really helps clarify, because the double 9, of course, would be the 81. And this would be the stable atoms in the universe. And then you'll see the 1, 2, 3, because I saw the double 9 constantly with the Pope numbers in the gematria, and I also saw the 1, 2, 3 and the 3, 2, 1. And you'll see how that fits in. The periodic table of the elements shows atomic numbers higher than 83 as subject to radioactive decay. In addition, elements 43 technetium and 61 promethium also radioactively decay. In time, all the elements naturally split into one or more of the stable elements. Plitscha asked himself, why should precisely 81 stable elements exist, no more and no less? Plitscha found the answer in the reciprocal of 81. He discovered the following relationship. 1 over 81 equals 0.0123456789, and then he puts these in parentheses because it's basically the digital root. Except for I'm confused because he goes on to say a few things. Let's see what you think. The reciprocal of 81 is a sequence of all whole numbers after the decimal point. Whole numbers higher than 9 are shown in parentheses because no numeral higher than 9 can exist in the decimal place system. Converting this infinite string of numbers into the decimal system yields the infinitely recurring number 0.01234556, and it misses the 8, 7, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, misses the 8, and 7, 9. In other words, the digit 8 is always missing from this pattern. So I'm not sure why they wrote it up here. I missed this conversion, converting the infinite strings into the decimal system. So I missed the conversion there. I'm not sure how the 8 became missing. Do you guys know? If you know, try to explain it to me in the comments. Okay, to convince yourself of the veracity of this fact, consider that 1 over 81 equals 1 over 9 times 1 over 9, and 1/9 equals 0.1111. This is a very important fact, because the royals do associate themselves with 111, and I think that they just do that because 111 is supposedly a divine number. It's this would be the number of Set, so if you take the reciprocal of it, you would be turning Set on his head, which, you know, as above, so below, and the mirror type of idea. Then this would be the higher number, perhaps the Osiris number. I'm not sure, but anyway, you have to keep in mind that they would consider this to be a high number, but then the dark ones would associate themselves with this. Okay, but I guess if you were born with this number, if this was your birth name or something like that, then that might be a true association. Multiplying a string of ones, times a string of ones yields a subtotal of 1 in every place. Adding up the columns of sequentially increasing ones logically results in a string of numbers from the void all the way to the infinity. When these numbers are put into the decimal system and the digits higher than 9 are carried into adjacent places, and the digit 8 somewhat mysteriously disappears from the answer. Maybe that's the conversion. Okay. A similar symmetry can be seen in the fact that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 times 9 equals 111 million, 111,000. Oh, that's not right. And 111. Oh, I guess that's right. Okay. You can also think of 81 as a poetic metaphor for the infinite one. So this is what the Pope is saying. What is the numeral 8 but an infinity symbol turned on its side? The other interesting metaphor that I think about this, when the Pope associates himself with the 99, and if this number, the reciprocal of this number, excludes the 8, then in a way, to me, the original, the 8 is the Ankh, the 4 original sounds of creation, and they're opposite, and they're sacred, and they are associated with Christ as far as the early Christians before the Vatican killed the early Christians and then recreated Christianity in its own kind of twisted format. So it's interesting to me that the Pope embraces this number, and within the symbolism of this number is the missing 8. I just thought that was pretty interesting. Okay. In ancient Heliopolis, today a district of modern Cairo, the Egyptians venerated a pantheon of 9 gods that the Greeks called the Ennead, meaning a collection of 9 things. This was, to my understanding, he goes into a different understanding of this. I haven't studied the Ennead in terms of its modern interpretation, and I understood the Ennead from the Egyptian point of view, and I'm not an expert in this, but I understood it to be the first 4 letters, the first 4 sounds of the Ankh, which is A, N, K, H, and their opposites. And these are things like matter and its opposite, sound and its opposite. That's what these, like N is sound. So I feel like I need to go back and study more about the Ankh. Now I have a video about the secret code of the Ankh, and I should probably make an Egyptian playlist. So I'll try to find that and start a playlist, but you can still go to my channel and put Ankh in the search box, and you should be able to find all of the videos that have Ankh, that are associated with Ankh. Okay, could it be that the ancient Egyptian gods themselves ultimately represented numbers? And I think this would be hilarious. And also very likely, he explains, not only hilarious because people personify these things and then they call them demonic. Meanwhile, everything that we do today has to do with numbers, and we really don't pay attention to the symbolic nature of the numbers that we deal with. So it would underline the whole idea of how we just keep missing the point. But, you know, I'm right there with you. I didn't know that they might be numbers, but I kind of like that idea. Okay, the Greek philosopher Pythagoras, who was educated in Heliopolis, Egypt, is known for saying all is number. So I knew that and I forgot it. I feel like I should print this out on my wall so I don't forget it again. Wouldn't it be cool to, like, you know, be like a little, I don't know, like maybe not a mouse, but say a mouse in Pythagoras's pocket, or a fly on the wall in Heliopolis. I love period movies, and I love peeking into history, and I would love to just, you know, see into that time bubble and see what that was like to be educated in Heliopolis, Egypt. Wouldn't you guys like that? If you like that, leave me a message. Okay. So I did these numbers. I did a lot of these words that I want to show you, and they are pretty interesting. Ennead in the menorah gematria, which is on the top, totals to a 17, which is our Q number. Oh, did I say what I thought the Ennead was? Sorry. Okay, so the 4 sounds of the Ankh and their opposite plus Ra. That's what I thought the Ennead was. Well, they say the Ennead is, if you go on the Scott Onscott website and probably put in the Ennead, you might be able to find this picture on the web. And he lays this down next to this is the Golden Gate and Columbus Avenue, and also the Pope. You know, the Pope interacted with Columbus several times. In the U.S., there were Columbus, of course there are Columbus streets everywhere, but the Pope somehow ended up going to the circles, and, you know, this has more importance than we're actually giving it. This Trans-American pyramid right here, this is on the forehead of a giant drawing that I found that I called Zeus, and I think it's also Vishnu. Vishnu came in the form of a horned whale to protect people from a tsunami, I believe, and that's why I have the horned whale in my outro. And I've already forgotten the name, but it starts with an M, and that was one of the lifetimes of Vishnu. And so then that makes me wonder if this drawing that I found, which I call Zeus in San Francisco, and you can check out that video, is actually Vishnu, because he's a man whale with this Trans-American pyramid on his forehead. And there really aren't any other associations with Zeus having a pyramid on his forehead, except for that in Paris, Isis has the Eiffel Tower on her forehead. All right, so here's his idea of the Ennead. It starts with Atum, Tefnut, because Atum gave birth to, this is the early sky goddess. I have a video on her too, because I found an artifact of hers. This is an early Egyptian sky goddess, the grandmother of Isis. And I found an artifact of hers that shows her associated with it looks like a giant prehistoric fish. And then there are 7 lotuses, which I believe symbolize the stars of the Pleiades. And this is why I think that these ancient sky goddesses, including Isis, Tefnut, and Ma'at, and the other ones, basically they might all be the same person, but I'm going to say they are Pleiadian. And their role that I have noticed is different from the Anunnaki. Like, it does show Inanna Ishtar being a granddaughter of, let me think, I think it's Enlil. So, but what, if you study the Pleiadian, if you study the Pleiadians, what they do, they can incarnate anywhere. And so they can incarnate into any line. So it would make them look like Inanna Ishtar was actually Anunnaki, when in fact she was undercover as a soul. She was an undercover soul in a human body. And I know that a lot of people probably on my list resonate with this idea. You are an undercover soul in a human body, and you took on the perils of incarnating here, probably to do good. And I believe that is the core. That's my phone. Oh no, it's going to keep going. Okay. Okay, maybe it'll stop. So and I do believe the ancient sky goddesses came to do good when they incarnated. Isis, Inanna Ishtar was usually a peacemaker. She tried to balance the political forces of the Anunnaki at the time. I have some Back to the Books videos on this. Very interesting to be aware of this. Even if you don't believe everything Zecharia Sitchin says, I feel like we need to be aware of these things. We have listened too long to the Vatican, and we need some counter sources to fill out the whole story. So anyway, he assigned these numbers based on his own ideas of how these things work. So I'm not sure how I believe, even if I agree with the gods that they've chosen here, but it is interesting that they put Isis in the 5th place and Osiris in the 6th place. They did this because he's the king of the underworld. Where'd it go? You could probably see it, but I didn't see. Oh yeah. Oh, Lord of the Dead. So he is king. Osiris is. So you have to think of this, the Lord of the Dead. Now, a lot of people, especially Christians, see this Lord of the Dead as that he is in hell. I do not think this is true. I think that the story shows that he was tricked into accepting a beautiful chest, getting into a beautiful chest, which symbolizes the body, and it's a coffin. It was basically a chest, and it became his coffin. And so then that would be the idea of when you are born into a human body, that it's actually a form of death. And it's just an interesting idea. All right, I guess I better answer that. Show you Atum. So, oh my gosh. Okay, it'll be quiet after a little bit. All right, and then I'll have to answer it again. Okay. So Atum is in the simple gematria. It has a 21 on this side, which is the idea of the finished creation prime. The 21st prime is 73, and that's the idea of the finished creation as part of the mirror of the 3773 star matrix mirror. And then here we have the and it's a 34, and I'm just a little I'm just not sure, because usually these will break into to significant syllables, and I think this does break into a significant syllable. It's just I don't know what it means, and so we'll have to keep looking. But anyway, it's a 21 and a 13, as you can see. So here we have two finished prime creations. So that would almost be like the Venus idea of this. But now this is very close to the atom, of course, and it says in here that we are clothed in all the other deities and all physical things were said to be made of Atum's flesh, according to Richard Wilkinson in the Complete Gods and Goddesses of the Ancient Egypt book 2003. The total number of one-to-one interactions among the Ennead, according to order being significant, yields 81 possible relationships, of course. Okay, well, the total of this is 50. Sorry about the focus. Hold on. The total of this is 55, and this is the alarm number, quake, and in the movies, I've told you before that at the 55th second, or when the 55 is in the timestamp, that's when the music is, it's like the bump, bump, bum, or Snape also equals this. Besides being the 21st prime, which equals 73, it's also the upper part of the chalice, because I believe the U is the upper part of the chalice. And I actually think the D is the lower part of the chalice. For the chalice symbolism, I have a lot of chalice videos. It's very important symbolism. Sorry about the camera. Okay, here we go. So then I just wanted to show you that this M, if you write the M like this and then you overlay the two parts of the M, you basically have this menorah code that I've been working with. And I also call it the pi, and I did write it down so we can reference it better now. So this is my drawing of it on my little Post-it. See how it's like this little cipher booklet that I try to keep handy. So this is the alphabet split into 213. So this is the M laid over itself. Now, One thing that's interesting about the M is that in this code, first of all, we have the Virgin Mary being the mother of Christ, and in this this achromatic cipher, hold on, here it is. This achromatic cipher, where you put it into a 5x5 grid, you can see that the Christ, see the CHRST is the L, so it's the Lord, and it's also the golden rule, see? And it's born through the M. It comes through the M. So this is the parthenogenic Egyptian sky goddess, but this is also the alphabet. This is the whole alphabet all in one. All right. So the Atum starts with the all-seeing eye. This word starts with the all-seeing eye, and it ends with the alphabet, or the alphabet being the Egyptian sky goddess, birthing all things, I guess. So here's the idea of Isis and Osiris. The symbolism is that Osiris is in, I forget now which book I was reading this in, but Osiris is supposed to be symbolic of everything that is good. Oh, I know. It was up high in the alphabet, I think. Osiris is the symbol of all that is good. Set is the symbol of, incorrigible evil. Isis is the manifester of all that is good. And so they use the symbol of the sun and the moon. And this is why she got associated with the moon goddess. Although I keep telling you that is not the moon, it's an exoplanet. But the reason why the symbolism, it became interpreted as such, or it became part of the symbolism, is that she mirrors the light of the source, which is the sun, basically, of God. So that's the idea of like her being the church. So that's also the idea with the M. She's the church, she's the loyal followers of all that is good. The body of Christ and the bride of Christ type of idea in the Egyptian symbolism. So the center here, the TU, is blindness. See, because it's a 41 and that's the blind number. And then the A and the M is 14, and that is has such deep symbolism. But probably the earliest anchor of the symbolism would be that's the number one. That's one of the stories of the number of pieces that Osiris was torn into. In the menorah gematria, which is the code I just showed you on the post-it, A equals 1, T equals 7. So we have U equals 6 and M equals 1. So we have an outer gate of 11, see? And we have an inner gate of 76, which is the spirit of 76. Which is the ability to astral travel. That's freedom. Freedom from the dome before you die. That was the original idea in Gilgamesh. 7 being the astral dimension, and 6 being the dimension of the field in the time of Gilgamesh. But that was before another great fall, in which we fell to further lower dimensions. So, sorry. So I just want you to look at the outer symbolism here, the symmetry. Okay, well, I do want to bring you some more of these words in here, and I think I will. I wanted to do it all in this video. So I want to bring you, let me show you what I want to bring you. The word atoms, stable elements, or stable atoms, the way that it's shown here in this phrasing. I want to bring you the Ennead, the word number itself. Turns out to be pretty interesting. Heliopolis. And this is the idea of Isis. See, you know, because we just talked about this number being the reciprocal of being 1/9, which is the reciprocal of Set, which is the opposite of evil. And this turns out to be the Isis number in the menorah gematria, because if in the menorah gematria 5, I is 5 and 6 is S, and so that would be a double 11 here, which would mean that she is the reciprocal. She turns, and if you multiply her times evil, she turns evil or Set into wholeness, which is 1. Interesting, right? All right, I hope you guys like that. I'm gonna come back and talk about some of these concepts so that we can fill this out. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.